Hi guys, how are ya? So today I am going to read you a story called Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs. You know how much we love food, and you know Miss Michelle loves food. How awesome would that be if we had food flying from the sky? Let's read about it and then we will talk about it afterwards. I have some activities for you. But first, the book Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, written by Judy Barnett and drawn by Ron Barnett. Look at all the spaghetti and meatballs. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was a Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for orange juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we each could eat. And Grandpa was doing the pancake flipping. Look, there's little Griff. Little Griff's waiting for a pancake to fall. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed toward the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry's head. Right on his head. Can you imagine if a pancake landed on your head? Oh my goodness. After that, we realized that flying object was only a pancake. We all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten. Even the one that landed on Henry. That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall-tale bedtime story he'd ever told. Across the ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 smaller ocean, a long way, there lay a tiny town of Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores and houses with trees and gardens all around them, a schoolhouse, oh how I wish we could be in school, and about 300 people and some sorted cats and dogs. But there was no food stores in the town of Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. We could really use that right about now because there's no food in the stores right now, huh? We'll have to see what we can do. The only thing that was really different about Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Do you remember where the sky is? What do we have to do? Look up. I should have my core board with me. You have up on your core boards. Whatever the weather served, that was what they ate. But it never rained rain. It never snowed snow. And it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas. And sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. As long as there's french fries, I'd be happy with that. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next few days' food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, their cups and their glasses, their forks and their spoons, and knives and napkins with them. That way, they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If there were leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in the refrigerator in case they got hungry between meals. Let's see, those look like pancakes. This looks like pie up here in this corner. She's catching chicken drumsticks. Look at this dog. He's catching all the soup in the umbrella with his owner. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny-side-up eggs moved in, followed by a piece of toast, butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. I would hope that there's bacon. Gotta have bacon in the morning. For lunch one day, Hot dogs, already in their rolls, blew from the northwest about 5 miles per hour. There were mustard clouds nearby, and the wind shifted to the east and brought in the baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual clearing, with a wonderful Jell-O setting at the west. Jell-O, love Jell-O. The sanitation department of Chewanswallow had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. It had to remove all the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. They even emptied some of it into the surrounding oceans for the fish and the turtles and the whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back into the earth so that the soil would be richer for the people's flower gardens. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. The spaghetti ties up the town. They're all tangled in spaghetti noodles. One day there was nothing but very large cheese all day. The next day there was only broccoli, all overcooked. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Another day there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going, and they could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. I would not like any of those. I would go hungry that day, that's for sure. The food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were getting frightened. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long and into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds, some without. There was white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread and rolls before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors. Roofs were damaged, and the sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean up, and the sea was full of floating rolls. Put some butter on it. It'd be very good. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards. The birds picked at it a bit, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. They should give it to Miss Nan. She takes it for her deer in the backyard. We bring her all our old bread and rolls. They would love it. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of it was so big. They had to close the school. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe there's a big pancake on our school right now. I will definitely be there to help get it off. Lunch one day brought 15-inch drifts of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomachache. There was an awful salt and pepper wind accompanied by even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid the tomatoes. The town was a mess. There were seeds and pulp everywhere. A tornado, that is when it gets really, really, really windy. It gets all swirled and everything goes flying up in the air. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been badly damaged by gigantic meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the children. So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chewanswallow. It was just a matter of survival. Oh, he got crushed by a big hamburger. Oh, there's my French fries, but they're awfully big. Wow, giant French fries and giant pickles. How about that? I guess that wouldn't be good to be raining on your house. The people glued together the giant pieces of stale bread sandwich style with the peanut butter and took the absolute necessities with them and set sail on their rafts for a new land. Look at, they were able to turn their sandwiches into a big boat. They're getting out of there, running away. After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town, which welcomed them. The bread held up surprisingly well enough for them to build temporary houses for themselves out of it. Look at all these little bread houses. It's kind of like at Christmas time when you do the gingerbread houses. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying food at a supermarket. They found it odd that food was kept on shelves, packaged in boxes and cans and bottles. Meat that had to be cooked was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except for rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again. No one dared to go back to Sheet-One-Swallow to find out what had happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his goodnight kiss. Now they all have to go back and make all those foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which it seems like that's all we do around here is eat. I'd rather it rain from the sky and have dinner made for us. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside the window. Never know, it can happen here again tomorrow. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sledding down that hill, we thought of a giant pat of butter on top, and we could almost smell fresh mashed potatoes. It's actually the sun coming out. The end. I hope you liked my book. It goes with our weather theme. I will have some activities for you to go with these, and I will send them all out. But I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.